What is going on, guys? Tim back again with another video. So today's video is very important. We got the Injector Dynamics 750 fuel filter. Now, this is overlooked by many Type R owners, and this filter is actually recommended by XDI, the maker of the high pressure fuel pump for these cars, and they recommend this to keep debris out of their high pressure fuel pump and your injectors. I've seen countless people online talking about particles from fuel lines or the fuel filter from the intake, the little sock filter that get up through the lines and they clog up your $1,600 high pressure fuel pump. So in today's video, we are going to go over an install with this. I got some lines from Radium Engineering, the ones that make like the catch cans and the overflow. They make all sorts of parts for pretty much any platform. So I got the lines, I got the fuel filter, and we're gonna get this thing mocked up and hopefully everything works. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So today's video, got the Injector Dynamics 750. We are gonna mount it up where my catch can is mounted. I already took the catch can off. As you can see, we got the two holes right there. So we're gonna use that. I'm gonna make a custom bracket. So let's see, we're gonna sit this thing right about here. We're gonna have the line from the flex fuel come down. It's gonna go down underneath the catch can and then 90 into this side. Then off this side, we are gonna have I gotta get a new hose, but we're gonna have a 90 coming off and looping around. You can kind of see the line ran already. I had this all mapped out, so I'm just showing you guys. So nothing too crazy. The hardest part's gonna be making this bracket, which honestly shouldn't be bad at all, but let's get into it. So one of the biggest things with these cars is sediment or stuff from the E85 or particles from the fuel lines that the E85 is eroding, or the E85 in the tank with the pre-filter sock that attaches to the low pressure fuel pump. A lot of times stuff breaks off of that, and then that comes up, contaminates the fuel line, contaminates the high pressure fuel pump, which is $1,600. So we're trying to avoid that. And then you can have issues with your injectors, low fuel pressure, car's not running right. So this is going to take care of all that. No issues. This is the filter that XDI actually recommends. So if you're running flex fuel, this is 100% need. I know even for myself, I overlooked this when I did the flex fuel and the injectors in the fuel pump, but better late than never. I know over the winter, I'm probably going to switch out the fuel filter in tank after running E85 for a year as preventative maintenance, so I never have an issue in season as we live in New England. So I'm gonna make up this bracket real quick. I got some 1.25 by 1/4 inch thick piece of steel from Home Depot. So I'm gonna see if this works. If this works, I will probably take it off at some point and paint it, make it look a little nicer, but you'll see what I'm working with here. Nothing too crazy, just basic hand tools. I got a drill, I got some drill bits, and yeah, let's get into it. All right, so these are the holes for the bracket for the where the catch can goes. I'm gonna mark out the bracket down here. I'll show you what's going on with that. All right, so 2 holes for your mounting bracket to where the flex fuel is, where the oil catch can. This is the end. I'm gonna cut after. I'm gonna drill 1, 2, 3. This bracket's gonna sit just like that. So 1, 2, 3, and then again, that's the end. So let's get this drilled up. All right, so far, if you follow my steps correctly, this is where we should be at. Got the bracket mounted. Let's go hang this thing up on get the can mounted and get this back together. So right now I have the flex fuel hose running down. It does a loop, comes back up to right here. Not my favorite, but on the OEM setup here, you're gonna have 190 here and a 45 over here. So I'm trying to replicate that, or use as little or the least amount of 90s as possible. Coming out the outlet side, we are going to have, I have to get a new hose, but I'm gonna use the one I have so I can use the car still. But we're gonna come out with a straight fitting, come through here and into the 45 right here. But right now I have a 90, it's just looping around and coming back in for now. But I got one on order, so that's the gist. Let's get this tossed together. So before I hang the catch can back up, I'm going to tighten that fitting right there. This one, tighten that up. And I'm gonna make sure the flex fuel line is off the intake manifold, down in the space. Let's see, down there. See how it kind of loops around and comes back up right here. Kind of hard to tell, but we're gonna, oh, here we go. You can kind of see it there, yeah. But we're gonna make sure that's not on anything that's gonna be hot. And again, I might play with these lines more this winter, but I just wanna get this thing running like this for now. All right, so we got it mounted up. You can see how I use the flex fuel slash radium catch can slash new bracket right there. Not my best work, but kind of temporary for now. I'll make it look good over the winter time. That's how it's sitting. Looks pretty cool right there in the center of the engine bay. This is all I had, so I'm gonna change this to a either straight or a 45. Swing it up high here. Come, follow. I'm gonna change this to a 45 instead of a 90 right now. Again, that's all I had. So I'll probably do a 45, or I'll do a straight and I'll point this right down through here, because this swivels. That swivels. So not a bad little install. I made a custom bracket, as you can tell, because I have an older version of the, it's not a PRL flex fuel kit, so I already had to modify this a little bit to make it work. I got spacers back here, hard to see, so it kind of brought it out a little bit. So I had to modify that. And then if you look down here, this line just goes down and then it comes back up right here. So nothing crazy, not my favorite, but it's gonna work. And I might play around with the fitment on this side as well with a different hose. But let me know if you guys got any questions. Shoot me a message on Instagram. I'll put it on screen now. It's Timmy_type_R. And I can get you guys hooked up with these kits through Envision Tuning, who I work for. So if you got, like I said, if you guys have any questions, let me know. And obviously when you're done doing all this, make sure you pressurize the system. Don't turn the car on yet, but turn it on, ignition off, ignition on, ignition off, and make sure, check for leaks, because once you pressurize it, it's gonna be a little different than when it's just sitting here, obviously. So on the inlet side of the pump, I think the hose is 24 inches roughly. So it definitely goes down and loops back up, but that gives it some slack, because when you change this filter, you're gonna wanna take it off and kind of bring it up so you have room to twist it off. So I left a little slack on that one. So if you want to replicate something similar, you'll need the 750, you'll need the 2 male 6AN fittings, and then you'll need probably a 20-inch hose with either a 90 with 2 90s on the end, or a 45 and a 90. Unless you want to do something where you'd wrap it up over the top here and came in here. That's also an option. I might play with that over the winter. But either way, you'll need a hose on that side. And then this side, I'm gonna measure that out real quick and let you know what you'll need on this side. So on this side, we have a 23 right now. So I'm gonna do a 18 with a 45 on this side and a 45 on this side. I'm gonna go from here, clip it up here, nice and high, away from everything. Come over, and then 45 in around my connector here. And I think that's gonna be the final setup. So just to recap, you'll need the 750. You'll need approximately a 24, probably a 20 to 24 inch hose if you want to drop down. If you have something different, a different setup, you can probably make something work with a shorter hose and whatever fittings. But this side, I'd say probably between 16 and 20, depending on how you want to route it. I think that's gonna be the best spot to keep it away from everything, so it's not rubbing or anything like that. And yeah, nothing too crazy. All right, so I was just editing this video and I forgot that, or I must have missed it, but I did not record the end of it. So here we are. I just want to go over a couple things. So this fuel filter is definitely a very should be #1 priority when you start doing flex fuel on your car. It's pretty much just added protection, and you're protecting your investment with how expensive the fuel pump is, the high pressure fuel pump, and how expensive your injectors are. So I believe the pump costs about, the fuel filter costs about $310 roughly, and then the fittings are like 10, and the hoses you're probably looking at $100 for the 2 hoses you're going to need. So all in all, probably about $450, call it $500 with shipping and tax, but $500 one time versus $1,600 twice, or $1,600 plus your $700 or $800 injectors. So do the math, probably a good investment. If you guys have any questions, like I said before, just reach out to me on Instagram. That will be down in the description below. And you guys have a good night.